welcome to episode 3 of the Cucco Attack. So this week we're going to talk about games that we've been playing recently. We're going to finally talk about the Pokemon Sword and Shield impressions that we have. I don't know how much we're going to get into that because, they only showed the one trailer. We're not huge, well, I'm not a huge Pokemon fan. But we're also going to talk about Castle Crashers Remastered coming to Switch and PS4. Patrick will be covering that. And then we're going to review what's been going on with GDC this past week, with Google, Microsoft, and just talk about some general things about streaming. And of course, this week we also had Nindies Direct, which were the indie games that are new coming to Switch, and we will talk about those and what we thought about what was announced. So, Patrick, what have you been playing recently?
Yeah, well, one game we both played recently, because I went over to your place to help you see the true ending of Hollow Knight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was really
After
cool,
seeing
man.
it, I kind of got addicted and played more of it.
I saw every time I picked up my Switch, like for the next couple days after that, it was like, your account name was on Hollow Knight again. I was like, what have I done? What is this kid doing? Now, but no, that was really cool. I was glad you came over. You pointed out that I was missing a bot of, I can't speak. I was missing a bunch of the charms, and I had a little less health masks than you did. And I didn't have the 2 items required to see the final ending, which were the, what was it, the vessel, the hollow vessel, or something like that?
Yeah, so there's like I think it's like the King Soul and some other kind of like 2 halves of the charm that combined. And then if you're able to find both these charms, you can take it to this secret location all the way down. I don't want to spoil too much for people who want to find it still, but basically it unlocks a new ending for when you face the final boss. It opens up a new path for the true final boss, and oh my gosh, it's one of the coolest
Yeah, that
bosses
was
if you've never.
it was really cool. I mean, I remember seeing, like, I played the game, I beat it, I beat the boss, I saw the the one ending, and thought that boss was pretty tough by itself. But then watching you fight him and seeing kind of what happens after that was pretty intense. I don't think it's something that I would have been able to handle on my own, or it would have, but it probably would have cost a few Joy-Con sets after the frustration. So
Yeah, it's pretty tough. Even if you know what's coming, like
yeah.
replaying that for you, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm having a hard time here.
Yeah, I think you died, like, I don't know. You started dying to the point where I just got up and started doing something else, and then I was like, tell me when you beat him. Just because, like,
At which point I was like, all right, I need to switch to my profile because I got more stuff.
yeah.
I might have a little more of a fighting chance.
Yeah, and then of course you did it pretty quick after that. But no, that was awesome. I was glad you came over and showed me that, and you
Yeah.
helped me beat the Trader Lord. Which when I tried to do that myself, I just got absolutely wrecked due to not playing the game in a few months. But yeah, it was good. It was really nice to see that. So thank you for doing that, sir.
You're welcome. Yeah.
That was
And
good.
then basically you got me back on the Hollow Knight train because I realized I hadn't done all of the God's Master DLC that came out.
Yeah.
And it seems like just a boss rush mode, but there's actually some new bosses in there. If you don't know, you basically face a series of bosses, and then if you can get to the end, there's a new boss, which is pretty cool for like each of the trials. So it's been fun finding more new Hollow Knight content. The one I was just playing before we started this call was actually the final boss, the vessel before like the true final boss, but he's like all tripped out now. He's not like killing himself anymore. He's just, oh my gosh, he's so much harder.
Yeah.
I was like playing that for the past hour trying to figure out how his new patterns.
I couldn't even beat the dream battles of all the other bosses, so I don't even want to attempt to mess with the boss rush modes because it'll just send me over the edge.
Other games we've been playing, or I can talk about a few that I've been playing specifically. One was StarTropics, which was the NES game that just came out if you have Switch Online for this month. It's kind of like a Zelda meets Earthbound-ish gameplay. Weird sense of humor, top-down perspective of a boy who like travels these islands attacking with yo-yos and baseball bats. Um,
Sounds like Earthbound.
and yeah, the humor of the game is so weird, but I really dig it. It's like all the characters and islands are named after like sodas, like Cola Island or something. It's really weird.
Yeah.
And just so many bizarre things that happen. It's got such a weird sense of humor. I should note, if you haven't played this game before, there's one area where you will get stuck in this game because the answer is not in the game. You'll meet a robot who's asking for a frequency code, and back in the day, this code was hidden in the actual physical manual that you had to like dip in water, and then you'd get the answer to the code. It was like a weird meta puzzle. So if you get to that part in the game, just Google the answer because you won't find it in the game.
Yeah, I actually was going to ask you about that when we were talking about it earlier. If you know you had to Google that, I assumed so.
I did.
But
I did.
okay, and I didn't. I wanted to know if you just Googled the answer or knew exactly
Yep.
where it came from. So yeah, I heard about that as well. I thought that was pretty ridiculous. And apparently, if you
Yeah.
had the virtual console version that came out on the Wii, it
Yeah.
actually came with the manual with the
They
code.
gave you like a digital
Like
manual.
yeah,
Yeah.
digital manual that gave you that code. So kind of dropped the ball on that, but I
And
mean,
maybe they'll patch it later. It seems like a dumb oversight though that they didn't in the first place.
yeah,
So
I mean, everybody has Google and all these guides are online,
yeah,
so at least it's
I
not
mean, it
something
was
like
my
randomly generated.
instinctive response to do it. Just I feel bad if anyone was like wasted time in the game trying to find the answer otherwise. So
Yeah, yeah, sure.
yeah,
That's cool. I've bought that game like 4 or 5 times on NES, and I actually have it right now. It's on that little shelf right there behind me. Um, and I've wanted to play it, and I should play it, and I just haven't done it. So now that it's on Switch, maybe I'll get around to playing it just to have finally experience it. As soon as I heard it was like a Zelda game, I was like on board. I know
yeah,
one of my friends. He used to always talk about StarTropics, like always when we were kids and stuff. And I just, for whatever reason, I never borrowed it from him or I never played it. But I that's pretty much all I have ever heard about it. But I've heard good things for the most
yeah.
part.
It's got some clever puzzles, some fun action, and the one thing that makes the Switch version awesome is just the suspend feature, being able to create like instant save points on wherever you are, because that game is brutally difficult, and even more so like when you die they don't even respawn you with full health, so it actually just makes it harder when you die. So being able to like suspend point like moments when you have like full health is a godsend. It's just so good.
Yeah, yeah, that's cool, man. Yeah, I really want to check that out. Hopefully soon. We'll see.
Yeah. And then the last game I've been playing recently was the this puzzle indie game called The Gardens Between. um it's basically these like little diorama islands that spin around, and you're trying to get these two characters to the end of the puzzle of the island. And you only have like one action that you can do. You can like fast forward time or rewind time, and if you're like not holding any buttons, everything kind of stands still. um and you kind of have to think about how you manipulate the scenes. Like certain objects will be falling in the scene, or like characters will be hopping, and you can like put the items on them and then fast forward and they'll hop somewhere else so that you can pick them up. And that's some pretty clever puzzles. And like the music's so chill and cool. The dioramas of the islands have like all these cool childhood objects like NES controllers and water balloons and old school computers, and it's just really neat. My only criticism of the game is it's a very short game. Right when the puzzles start to get interesting and you think like it's about to step up, the game's done. It's like a 2-hour game for what I think when it's not on sale is $20. It's kind of
Oh wow.
expensive. Yeah.
Yeah, I never heard of it until I went on Switch and saw like you were playing it, and again I had no idea what it was, and um, I hadn't seen you play it very long, so the fact that you just told me you
I mean, I
beat
just
it,
started it this
yeah,
week. Yeah. So.
yeah, and you said you beat StarTropics too. I was like, man, all you are doing is getting it in this week, beating 2 games, and
Yeah, it
yeah,
felt like an accomplished week.
yeah, that's good.
But
So
Star Trek, I mean, the Gardens Between has a good story and enough positive traits that it's a fun game. I think it's worth checking out if it's on sale.
cool. I'll keep an eye out then. I like some puzzle games too. It's always a good way to kill some time. That's pretty much all I've been playing. I've been playing some Tetris 99. Not winning, of course, getting to like third place and getting destroyed by the last 2 people, or getting like 90th place because I get an entire screen of blocks thrown on me in 2 seconds, like I mentioned last time. So played that, but I did finally have some success with finishing up one of my backlog titles, and that was Thimbleweed Park.
That's right.
So I bought this game on PC when it first came out. Really excited. It was, I believe, it was Ron Gilbert. He's like Maniac Mansion, did a lot of those point-and-click adventure games from LucasArts back in the 90s. And so we had like Maniac Mansion, Day of the Tentacle, and a bunch of the other ones that were out there that he did. Those are my favorites, the Maniac Mansion series. So I picked it up on Switch as well, just because I wasn't very far in it on PC, and I was like, oh, I'll play it on Switch. So I'll hopefully get into it a little more, being portable. But
Yeah.
with that being said, if you like those point and click adventure games, play it on PC, because I think, like, when I was a kid, I beat Maniac Mansion on NES. Like, when it first came out, that's when I played it. I never played it on PC. I've only played the NES version. I mean, I've played the DOS version since, but I only played the NES version, and then having, like, I know that soundtrack, that music, so when I play the DOS version, sometimes it's a little weird to me because it's the things sound different, things look different. I'm just used to the NES port. But that's definitely the downfall of using a D-pad to control a cursor across the screen is very tedious, and that was the same thing in this game. I mean, there's a few shortcuts you can do to jump around the menus a little bit, because you have your action items in the bottom lower corner, and
Right.
it wasn't horrible, but it was mostly like traveling. I felt like this game was you had to travel throughout the entire town, and then you'd have to travel to different locations on the map. And if you had the map, it's not so bad because you can click on the location and it will automatically send the person there through this little map screen, little overview screen. So it kind of fast travels, but unless I missed something, which is very possible, it felt like I had to always go out to the road in order to see the map view, unless I had the map in my inventory. And I only had one map, so maybe I could have bought a map for every single person. I don't know. I didn't pay attention to that.
Gotcha.
So I just felt like it was a little tedious in that aspect. I just felt like it was too big. Like the point and click adventure games I've played Maniac Mansion, Day of the Tentacle. I've played some of the other ones too, like the LucasArts stuff. Like there's Sam and Max. There was Hit the Road. There was Indiana Jones, Fate of Atlantis, I think, or something like that. And then there was Full Throttle, was another one of those point and click adventures based on the Scum engine. But I guess some of those are a little bigger, but my favorites have always been Day of the Tentacle, Maniac Mansion, and it's very enclosed in this one house. Like Maniac Mansion it's a house, and it feels quicker, I guess, to move around.
Mhm.
It's just easier. You're not having to do all this traveling around. I just felt like
Or
there
just
was
like confined, but like still elegant to like
yeah,
unravel.
yeah. I mean, there's definitely times where it got tedious. You'd have to go to like the top of the mansion, and then you're like, oh, crap, I gotta go all the way to the basement. So you go down and you go back and forth. So, but with that being said, it was still a very fun game. There's a bunch of puzzles that I ended up using a guide for most of the end of the game, just because I just wanted it off my backlog. And the game came out, and it was like close to launch title on Switch, and I'm pretty sure I had it before that. I think the copyright was 2017, so it was either 2016 or 2017 when it came out on PC as well. And I just wanted it done. I wanted to beat it, I wanted to see the ending, and I thought the ending was cool. I thought it was a really well done game, but there were some puzzles that I just never would have even known what to do. Which I feel like some of the the older games I didn't have that, but again, it was fun. I was glad I beat it. I'm sorry I'm rambling about it, but I was glad to have that finally off my backlog list, which I actually made a list here of what I have left to play on my backlog currently. It's not very long, but I've got Axiom Verge, which I talked about. I bought that on the Wii U, and I bought it on Switch, and I barely played it. I have Okami HD on Switch.
One game.
The Messenger on Switch. And then I picked up Katamari Damacy Reroll, so I got to check that out again. And then I also had South Park Stick of Truth, but I took that off the list because I just can't get into it. And if I want to see it, I'm just going to watch a playthrough online. And then I didn't want to buy anything new due to having this backlog of, some pretty decent games there. But SteamWorld Dig and SteamWorld Dig 2 were both on sale. I think SteamWorld Dig was $2 or $3, and then SteamWorld Dig 2 was like $8. And I used my Nintendo eShop Gold points and got both games for like $5 total. So
that's worth it.
Yeah, so I've really wanted to play those. I hadn't played them yet, and I figured that was the best thing I'm gonna do to play those. So out of those, 6 games I have on my list to play, I don't know what I'm gonna start next. So we'll see. Maybe Okami, or maybe The Messenger. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, I gotta figure out what's next on my list after beating those 2 games this week.
Yeah, I'm not even talking about backlog of like NES stuff and everything on that shelf behind me. I'm just talking pretty much about my Switch backlog.
Yeah.
Just because it's like I said, it's what I get to play. So yeah, that pretty much wraps up what I've been up to as far as recent gaming.
Cool. Yeah. Now you got me curious what I got on my backlog. I should boot up the Switch real quick and just see. Off the top of my head, I'm trying to think. I know I still have like a couple indie games I picked up when they were on sale a while back. Night in the Woods. I've got Forgotten Anne, which is this weird kind of platforming story-based game. The animation almost looks like Zelda 2, but I mean not Zelda 2. I mean like the CDI Zelda. It's like the really bad
the Russian animated ones.
But in some way, weirdly, it seems to work in this game. Like it has a distinct look to it that is like just appealing. I don't know why. I got Tumbleseed. I think
I have Tumbleseed. Oh,
yeah.
I have Tumbleseed on PC. Oh, I don't even want to talk about my Steam backlog. Oh my god.
No, we don't need to go into that.
My Steam backlog. Oh, those summer sales, they'll get you every time.
Let's see what else I got. Diablo 3. I haven't really.
I saw you were playing that yesterday. I think, when I was on finishing up Thimbleweed.
And what The Blob 2 and Bomb Chicken. So I got a bunch of games to go through still.
Bomb Chicken was fun. I remember playing that at your place.
That is fun. It was getting very hard, which is why I think I need to just take a break. Maybe I'll try and finish that though.
Yeah. Well, speaking of taking a break, let's take our first break real quick, and we will be right back.
So, what's next on our list? We didn't cover Pokemon.
Yeah, Pokemon Sword and Shield. So
Yes.
We've kind of put this off 2 episodes due to talking about other stuff way too long. And I I personally don't have much to say that's positive about it, just because I'm not the biggest Pokemon fan to begin with. I pretty much played Red and Blue and Yellow, and then I recently ran through Let's Go. I think I played Ruby too on GBA just a little bit. That was kind of the last one. I bought that when I was in high school, and it was just kind of like, I don't know. I think I was out of it. Didn't have any interest. But I did go back to Let's Go. Let's Go, I enjoyed it, just due to the fact of seeing Pokemon on the overworld and being able to skip a lot of the battles that kind of make Pokemon very grindy. And I was kind of hoping for that in this new one, and from what we can tell on the trailer that they showed, that's not going to be the case.
Doesn't look like it.
It looks like a 3DS Pokemon that's been up-resed slightly. That's
Yep. It looks like more Pokemon just on the Switch. Just
yeah.
slightly prettier and more of what you've come to expect.
So they're either being very safe with the franchise, or they are just trying to get this out on Switch, because you know it's going to be a system seller for the people that haven't got it yet. They're going to get that true Pokemon
they don't want to
game.
wait.
Yeah, that true
It's
Pokemon
essentially
game.
free money coming.
Yeah, so they'll get that released, and then maybe we'll see something switched up in the franchise later. I don't know if we will.
I doubt it.
But
Yeah, if you know Game Freak, they take very slow baby steps at improving the series. But yeah, I was kind of in the same boat as you. I was hoping for more of a bigger risk or something to change up the series, because like a lot of franchises have come for Switch, they've been shaking up the franchise and just trying something really new and cool. And for the most part, it's paid off for what they've done.
yeah. Like there was a big rumor, or at least people talking about like, oh, the new Pokemon's gonna change. It's gonna blow your mind. The people that talked about it, and like, so everyone, of course, was speculating like, oh, it's gonna be like Breath of the Wild. You're gonna be in this like, 3D world running around finding monsters. And I hear that, I'm like, awesome. It sounds great. Just because the grindiness of Pokemon, especially just overhead, that kind of stuff, I thought would be really fun if you're doing it in this exploration 3D world, running around, kind of having those same mechanics of like just going anywhere and everywhere to find what you're looking for. I think that would have been really, really neat. Not the standard formula, but that's fine. People are going to enjoy it. It will not end up on my Switch, but that's fine. It's had to at least talk about it for a minute. We said we'd talk about it, and it did not meet any of the expectations that I was hoping for, but I can't get upset about it because I know a lot of people are really going to enjoy it, and that's the formula that works. And
yeah,
that's about it.
that's a good point. Like people, it knows its audience, and I'm sure the audience will enjoy it. I thought it would have been cool if maybe they tried the more like just a little more interaction in the battles. If you're able to like move or dodge, like kind of mix in Pokken Tournament with your traditional turn-based attacks. But I mean, it doesn't have to be like a fighting game, but just a little more interaction would be cool.
Yeah.
But I guess that's not what this entry is going to be. I think the only reason my excitement is not as high as others might be is you look at the trailer last year for Pokemon Let's Go, and even though that's like a more casual game, and whether a lot of those features were successful or not, it showed a lot more ambition for new ideas, the Pokemon in the overworld and cooperative play, and just so much interesting ideas that it actually did get me excited. And then you see this, and it's just more of the same. It's just like, okay, that's nice. So
yeah. So I guess there was a lot of backlash when they talked about Let's Go, just because it's like, oh, Pokemon Go, I hate Pokemon Go, and this is just like that. But like that there's some good stuff in Pokemon Go. Pokemon Go got me kind of back into Pokemon to begin with. I enjoyed it a lot. I played it a lot. My wife plays it a lot. Still currently, so that kind of gets me into it still. Not as much as she does, but I'm still. If it's a nice weekend, we'll go out for a walk, play, and it's fine. It's a good way to walk around and do stuff. So it was nice to see some of those things like the overworld Pokemon and stuff on the Let's Go, and even the interaction between Let's Go and Pokemon Go, being able to transfer Pokemon to the Let's Go park, and you can catch something in real life and then put it in the game. It was cool.
Interesting.
And it would have been cool to have that. I mean, maybe they will have that in the game. We haven't heard that much.
That's true.
They might
this
have
was a
something.
very, very early look at the game, so there's still plenty of time for them to possibly introduce new features or ideas that could be incorporated into this game.
Yeah, so I mean, we'll see more about it, but I mean, based off of what they showed, I don't think it's for me, and that's okay. So,
yeah. So
yeah,
let's move on.
All right, sure, we'll move on. So, Castle Crashers Remastered was announced for Switch and PS4,
Yes.
and you have told me that I need to play this game.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
why do I need to play this game?
It's a great indie like co-op brawler game, like those side-scrolling just beat 'em ups.
Like the old Capcom games, Konami
Yeah,
games,
yeah,
beat 'em
like
up.
you'd find a lot in like arcades and stuff, and it's a lot of dumb fun, just like a really dumb jokes and just, but the animation is so much fun and just it's a great game to play through, and like every character you see in that game, all the enemies, every single one, you can eventually unlock and then play as them and then level them up, and just it's so many characters and weapons, and you get little like animal companions that follow you, and they like make little hearts or like farts, or it's just such a dumb, bizarre game.
And that's what you told me. You said my stupid humor would be great for watching that, right? Or for
I
playing
mean, you
that game.
like dumb kind of humor. I wasn't like insulting you, but
Insult. I'm insulted. I'm insulted, sir. How
but yes,
dare
it has
you?
a lot of stupid, kind of crude but funny humor. There's like one level that's you're riding these deers to escape this giant monster cat, and like the only way that you can prepare yourself for it is the deers are like pooping themselves out and farting and like shooting you forward. It's just such a weird.
Sounds like something up my alley. I'll have to check it out. So,
So
does it
definitely we'll pick it up and we can play it together.
is
Yeah.
there online play for that?
I don't know if I saw that in the trailer.
Take a look
I
at
don't
it.
see why they wouldn't, but yeah, I'm not sure.
I know the was it the Konami beat 'em up collection or the SNK beat 'em up collection that recently came out? Maybe it was Capcom. I don't remember. I think it was Capcom. Capcom beat 'em up collection came out a few years ago or a few months ago, and that had pretty sure that had online
Oh, cool.
for like Knights of the Round and what are some of those other Capcom beat 'em ups? Captain Commando? No, I don't remember. But anyway, there's a bunch of games on there that were, back from that day, and I'm pretty sure they added online. So that'll be cool. If it has online, then
That would be cool.
I'll
I
consider.
mean, at the very least, it'll have local co-op, but yeah, online would be cool too.
Yeah, I mean, if it has local co-op, that's fine. It's just easier to
Yeah.
get those other games going. But yeah, I'll check it out. I'll take a look at it. I'll at least check out the trailer. I didn't even see the trailer. You just
Yeah, check it out. I mean, it's a very old game. It's like, I'm pretty sure it's like 10 years old back when it debuted on like Xbox Live Arcade, but it was such a fun game, and if you haven't experienced it, it's worth checking out.
Yeah, I will check it out. Let's see, when did it come out? It looks like it came out in 2012 on Steam. So,
Okay.
Oh wait, initial release was
No, Steam was after, I think.
Yeah,
later.
initial release was Xbox Live Arcade in August 27th, 2008.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Hey.
that's really really old game. like 11 years old. So
Yeah, it was like back in the day of like Newgrounds Flash games and stuff. So
I remember that stuff.
yeah.
That's like all I did in high school. Those like watch those stupid Flash videos and play those games and yeah, that's good stuff. All right, so GDC 2019 was this past week, and we had a couple topics come out of that. So we
There was
had, go ahead.
theme to them all, though.
Yeah, so, well, basically, so we had Google and Microsoft both kind of talk about their streaming services. So let's talk about Google first. Um, they released a teaser trailer saying that they're going to have an announcement in gaming, in the gaming space, at GDC on the 18th, right? Or was it the 19th? It was the 19th. So
Yeah.
the trailer showed kind of like a start screen of multiple different types of games. You had like a space game. You had what looked like you were like running out of a castle to go to battle. You had another screen that looked like you were in like the pit of like a racing game.
Mhm. Magical mushrooms and just yeah.
Yeah, just trying to show like get ready, this is gonna be big, and so of course I was very interested to see what Google was gonna bring. The rumor was it was gonna be a set-top box console with
Because there were like leaks of like patents of a controller and stuff like that. So
yeah, so they the rumor had like it's gonna be a set-top box with um, streaming the games to them. So what ended up coming out of this was Google Stadia, which is a streaming service that is used through Chrome. So from what it sounds like, every device that has Chrome on it, well, whether it be a PC, laptop, tablet, phone, or even
or
the beefed up Chromecast, will
yeah,
allow you.
TVs with Chromecast.
Yeah, so you can play on your TV. Will allow you the ability to play AAA titles at full graphic fidelity.
I just laugh at that just because they use the word AAA so much during that.
Did they? Yeah, I don't even remember
Games.
AAA, but so to play them instant, no download required. Basically, all the processing power is done on the back end servers at Google throughout their massive server farm networks that go across the world. So it sounds cool. I think it's cool. I don't know if it's for me, but I think the instant access is a really neat idea, especially with the amount of patching that goes on currently on physical games as well as even your downloaded games. You still have to update those system files. So I think that's one way to solve that problem. And before we get into like negatives, I'm just gonna kind of go over the features I think are neat.
Right.
So you have the instant access. I think it's really cool. The ability to flip from what they showed in the demo was you could play a game on your laptop and then say you have to stop the game, and then you go out and you get on the bus or something, or you get on a flight. Oh, I wouldn't say a flight because streaming
Probably won't have Surface.
yeah, streaming on a flight's going to be awful. But anyway, say you're on a bus and you're on your mobile device. You could pick up your phone and pick right back up where you were. At least that's what they showed. Again, I don't know if that'll work over mobile internet, but let's just say for this, this demonstration, it does work that way. And then again, you could pick it up on another device and it work as well. And it looked like the controls all transposed per device.
Hmm.
So
I think you could play pretty much with whatever devices control schemes that are available. Other
yeah,
than, I think for the TV and the Chromecast, you had to have the Google controller. I think
yeah,
they specified on that, but
yeah.
otherwise,
So yeah, you had to have the controller for the TV, the Chromecast, from what it showed.
hmm.
Um, but it was cool that you could, I like first person shooters with mouse and keyboard. So if there's the option where I can play the same game as my friends, but with a mouse and keyboard on on my computer with my friends that are playing on console, that's awesome. That's a game changer to me because there's talk about cross-platform, blah blah blah. I don't know how that's going to work out or what exactly they meant by that. We were talking about that a little after the announcement, but if having that freedom of using the controller you want to use, I think is awesome. And they even said that Google Stadia will pretty much use any USB controller that you can plug into your PC if you're playing on PC.
Hmm.
So I don't know. I think it's definitely neat as far as that. The other feature I thought was really cool was the YouTube integration. And I'm not a huge, I don't watch a lot of people on YouTube. I don't really follow that scene too much. But I thought it was a really neat idea that you can, if your content creator is playing on Google Stadia, they can link that to their YouTube channel and then form a queue where you can jump into the game, the same game that you're watching live. I think that's really neat. That's cool. It feels like something that you should probably do on like Twitch, but I think Amazon owns Twitch or Amazon's
Yeah,
in some sort of thing with
obviously
Twitch.
Google wants to use YouTube, so
So Google owns YouTube, so they're obviously competing in that space. But I think that it's still a really cool feature being able to just you know instantly have that queue. Depending on how it works out, of course. I mean, we talked a little bit about this. There's questions that need to be answered. We don't know what games are going to be on there, other
yeah,
than Assassin's Creed
they're
and
gonna
Doom.
get on board. Yeah.
Yeah, so we have Assassin's Creed and Doom. So Doom's there. It's id Software, which I believe is owned by Bethesda. So it seems like Bethesda's kind of getting on board with everything new coming out, like, which is fine. That's cool. I mean, a lot of people play, their games. They're a pretty big company at this point. Um, I'm sure Skyrim will be on it. It's on everything. um, so there's that. We don't know what's going to be on it. They talked about 4K streaming on a 25 megabyte internet connection, which, I mean, it could work. I'm not going to say it doesn't. We'll see. We'll see what happens when it comes out, and we'll see if there's latency issues. They say that there'll be very low latency, which I can believe. I think if everything's running internally, if you're playing everybody else that's in the Google Stadia platform, I think you'll have very low latency just because you're not going to be making that internet hop. You're going to be projected that video. It's just going to be your input signals that are getting sent from your device to the server, which I think that's why it might work, because it's going to be a lot less. It's a lot less stuff for the console to send out to make that multiplayer, sending you frames and receiving signals and all that stuff. But again, it's something we'll have to see how it works out when it comes out. And I think the most important thing, which we can, we'll talk about this, is the price and how
Mhm.
they're going to do this. So I know we both kind of have some thoughts on that.
Well, yeah, it could be like so many things that they didn't even like touch on. Is this going to be like a monthly or yearly service? Is this going to be you buy the game like full retail price? Like we have no idea. This could really make or break what this ends up being.
Yeah, because I think if you have to pay $60 for the game still, like for each game, I don't know if that's going to work in this situation. Maybe it will. Maybe people will, look more at the convenience factor of being able to play it on anything. I mean, it works for Switch. Um,
But there's
but
still the sense of like you're not really owning this game. You have no ownership over it.
yeah, like you don't have the ownership of the game. You don't have, there's no physical copy. Obviously, there's obviously the internet issue where if you don't have service, you're not going to be able to play. So that's always a bonus of having something that's downloaded locally.
No offline play for which seems like silly for single player experiences.
Yeah. So, that could get pretty expensive at the same time. I mean, like we were saying, there's no production cost for anything, but I mean all that cost is the back end server usage as well as the data, the bandwidth. So there are going to be costs, but I don't know what they're going to do.
It definitely seems more geared towards a kind of like annual fee setup rather than,
Yeah.
or maybe they might even do like both. You just don't know. Like
Yeah.
every other console has a online fee now to play games online. So
Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see what comes out of it. I think what would make the most sense is like a monthly fee, but that monthly fee, I threw out when we were randomly talking, just like $100 a month, but that gives you access to every single massive title that's on there. But again, we don't know how many are going to be there, so that was just arbitrary number thrown out, so, just in general talk. But mostly because if you buy two physical games that come out launch day, you're going to be spending $120. So if you buy 2 games a month on average, you're still saving $20, and you're not having that console fee on top of it, that initial console fee, and then you're not going to have to pay for a new console when the next version of the game comes out that your PC can't handle now, or your new console doesn't get that full performance out of. But again, $100 that's way too much. I think if something came out like $30-$40 a month, I think it'd probably do pretty good. I don't see that being too bad. But again, it all comes down to the content that's available. That's really the case. Yeah, like we don't have a lot of physical stores anymore, other than Redbox, which
Redbox or
Redbox
Gamefly,
works.
whatever.
Yeah, Gamefly as well. But even when you see like Redbox, there's a lot of I hear a lot of stories where people steal the games and they'll get like a Redbox disc out, and it's literally a photocopied disc that somebody just cut the paper out because it's got the barcode on the inside that the machine reads.
Goodness.
So yeah, I mean, there's real no way to rent games other than GameFly and Redbox. That's pretty much it. But if you can rent a game like you rent a movie now for $5 and you can instantly play it, pause it, save it, do whatever in the game, and then I would imagine if that's the case, there'd be some system that's going to have your save in the cloud. So if you want to rent it again or purchase that game or purchase your subscription, however they do it, I think that's game changer. It's huge if they can do something like that. And if that's the way it goes, I think I will be on board because, say Stadia is crossplay available to throw it out there, Destiny 2. And you've got a group of your friends playing Destiny 2, and you're like, you know what? I'm going to check out Destiny 2 this weekend. You pick it up for, $5. You get it for 2-3 days. You play with your friends. If you like it, you keep it. If you don't like it, you don't. and your investment was $5 and you're playing it on whatever device you have. You don't have to be like, oh well, my friends are playing Xbox, so let me go buy an Xbox or a PS4, and then I had so there's your initial $300 investment just to play a game that you probably never would have played anyway. No one's going to do that, but this will make, I think it can make more people that wouldn't play a certain game get into another game, like get into something new. I think there's definitely a place for it, but there's a lot of unknown, mostly with the pricing structure, as well as the availability. Are we going to see Nintendo games? Are we going to see PlayStation games? Are we going to see Xbox games? Or is this going to be strictly on a quote unquote third party development, or Google's?
It's gonna be a little hard to get some of those other developers developers on board.
Yeah, and again, like that's the flaw, I think. But I don't know how you can't overcome that. I don't think.
No.
I mean, maybe Xbox, but then they're trying to do their own streaming thing too. So, and even Sony has their own thing. So, you're building this up for your third-party developers, your EA, your Ubisoft, your Bethesda's, Rockstar, stuff like that. So we'll see what comes out of it. The controller, I thought, looked like every other PlayStation controller I've seen before. Just like a mix of a Xbox and a PS4 controller with the thumbsticks down low, which I don't like.
Yeah. I prefer my analog sticks to be like at different heights. I don't really like when they're at the same level.
Yeah.
But it's a controller,
Yeah.
Doesn't look anything too fancy or special.
Yeah, it's pretty much the same. It had the Konami code on the back of it.
I saw that.
You saw that, yeah. So we'll see what that does. I know a while back Google had like an Easter egg on the homepage. If you typed in the Konami code, it would do something. I don't remember what it did.
Yeah, some pretty fun Easter eggs on there. My favorite is you type in do a barrel roll and it like a full screen sprint.
Yeah, that's my favorite too. So, I mean, I think if anyone's going to do streaming successfully, it's going to be Google or Microsoft to pull it off. They have the infrastructure, they have the back end, they have the server farms. I think they can do it, but it really comes down to what the consumer does, and that's all going to be based on performance and price. So, and availability of titles. So we will see what happens.
Yeah. Yeah, like you said, it definitely comes down to like hitting the right price and of course functioning correctly. Like, you mentioned like Destiny or stuff. Like I played that and like Titanfall with a bunch of friends when those games were popular, and then ended up selling the games later just because once you were done with them, there wasn't really much reason to keep them. It was kind of like a one and done game. So
yeah, and the resale on those games are nothing.
Game types of experiences working well for this. Assuming that this works as well as they advertise it to be. I remain skeptical. It seemed very idealistic how they're setting this up to be. I don't imagine everyone's experience is going to be as fluid or perfect as what they're advertising, but maybe they'll offer trial ways to test it out, and hopefully that way there'll be people able to see if this works for them or not.
Yeah, I'm looking forward. I signed up on their website to get more information. I think it's like stadia.google.com or something like that, or google.com/stadia, one or the other. And I'm definitely interested. I don't think it's going to move me away from my consoles. I mean, especially not my Nintendo stuff. But I mean, my PC can run everything that I have right now, so it's kind of like whatever. But I mean, you're not gonna get VR streaming, So there's definitely some things that will not come to this platform, but for some of those bigger third party, especially the mass multiplayer online games. I think it's perfect for that, especially with the amount of patches that come out for those games and the DLC and everything. You're just instantly done. You don't have to go out and go to the store and wait for the downloads. And I think it's cool, but
I think that's the market. At least it will target for already gamers, because most of us already are equipped with what we need to play games. So
yeah,
if they do that right, then that instant access, just being able to play quick games with people socially, I think could work well. I don't know if it's gonna really hit the audience for new gamers. I don't know, because they're not. If they can like afford like good internet, then they're not gonna be getting this. If they can, they probably already have the game systems that they want. So I don't know. It'll be interesting to see.
Yeah, the timing of
Where
it
this,
too. So they say it's going to come out this year, 2019,
yeah,
and we're kind of at the end of whatever generation this is. I don't even remember. We don't even really have generations anymore. But
I know everyone launches their consoles when they want.
we're kind of at the end of the Xbox One, PS4 generation, though. We've kind of been there for a while. I think that hardware is doing everything it can do. We've got the revisions of the Xbox One X and the PS4 Pro, and where else do you go? So if Microsoft can drop this before those consoles come out, which we've heard nothing about the next iteration of the Xbox or the PS5 other than rumors, they might have something just to get, if they can show a product that works the way they intend it to work. It has the timing to jump out ahead. I think it does.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of like Xbox 360 kind of came out before anything else had HD, and it was did well. It wasn't the only reason it did well, but timing is everything. So we'll see.
That's true.
We'll see what happens. We've got the price and the games will be the big thing, like we mentioned multiple times. So anything else you want to add to that?
I mean, we can talk more on the impact of streaming in general as we continue our discussion, but that's probably more or less what we have to say on Google Stadia. The name doesn't really roll off the tongue, I had to think for a second.
Stadium, everything there, I guess. I don't know.
I don't know.
I just play games. I don't talk to people.
Why not just call it Google Games? I don't know.
Yeah, like everything else. Google News, Google this.
Yeah.
Google Journalism. Something, I don't know. But yeah, so but with the streaming theme, we talked about, Microsoft is also talking about their Project XCloud, which will allow you to stream to your phone Xbox games. Very similar type of technology, I guess. I didn't see anything about pricing, or if it was just you buy the game and you get that access.
Yeah, I think they said they'd have more to announce at E3 for those details.
Yeah, they said, I think it was Google went big at GDC, we're going bigger at E3 or something like that. Was the quote that I read from the CEO. But this xCloud thing that they showed off was, it looks very similar to what PlayStation just released with their Remote Play for PS4.
That's right.
I haven't tried that because I don't have a PS4, but personally, a touchscreen controller is just out of the question for me. Like the Xbox is kind of doing the same thing. So I guess the default layout is the entire Xbox controller just as digital buttons on the screen, and that
Which is not ideal, but
what's that?
Not the ideal way to play a game.
Yeah,
but,
I mean, I don't want a button for like a standalone flat button for a trigger just doesn't do it. Especially like if you have to hold the trigger to do something, or you're gonna have to like hit your screen like that. It's gonna be really weird. But that's kind of what the PlayStation 4's criticism was for their app too, was just kind of like, you know, what the heck is
That
this
yeah,
controller?
controls and latency.
Yeah. So, but the one thing that Xbox I guess showed was the touch adaption. So each game could have its specific controls for it. Like I
Yeah,
think the example they showed was like Cuphead, where Cuphead has just the D-pad and then it has two buttons. You have your
yeah.
jump
So
button and your attack button.
simplified for on a game by game basis.
Yeah. So I
They
think
gave another cool example for Halo, because if you think about it, Halo has a lot of different kind of mechanics within the game. Like it's a first-person shooter, and then all of a sudden it's a vehicle driver when you're on the Warthog, and so they are allowing the programmers to kind of have the game recognize when those instances happen, and then adapt the controls easily so that players don't have to use like one button layout for the entire game. They can have it switch over when you jump onto a warthog.
yeah,
So
that's
control scheme that makes more sense.
yeah, it's cool. I think that's Microsoft. I mean, they've been working a lot with Nintendo lately. But Sony always copies Nintendo with everything. So I think that remote play kind of gives those users the ability to have that play anywhere feel like the Switch gives you.
Hmm.
Um, and I think that's kind of what this gives Microsoft as well on the cheap without having to develop hardware. They just make a software interface. They do that.
Yeah,
If it works well, then that's great. Especially if you can pair a controller to the device and use it that way with like a little clip or something, then that's great. But I don't know. I mean, we'll see what comes out of it. Streaming is, everyone's trying to get that instant access, play wherever you want, pick up wherever you left off. Model right now. So I don't know. Is that where we're gonna end up? Is that the next? Is that the next phase? Like,
I'm very curious about this. Yeah, because you look at like all other forms of media, like how they've been changing, like music, how it went to like digital iTunes only, and then now it's like Spotify streaming, and even like movies and TV shows are now just being streamed and competed for on Netflix and Hulu and all these other streaming platforms. Like
I don't even have
everyone
cable
needs cable
anymore.
now.
I don't
Yeah.
have cable. I have PlayStation Now or PlayStation View, and I love it. I think it's great. There's a few
Yeah.
channels that I wish I had, like NHL Network, and um, I don't have any of the Viacom channels like Comedy Central and stuff like that, which is a little disappointing because they couldn't come to an agreement. However, the price still went up, so it was like I lost like 15 channels and I paid $15 more to lose those channels. But overall, I still like the service just because I don't have, I pay $50 flat for that stream and I don't have service fees. I don't have a contract. You know, it just it's nice to just be in control, I guess, of what you're paying for. Like I could stop at any moment and go try a different streaming service. I can go try Sling, or I can go try YouTube TV, or I could go try. I think Hulu has a live one. There's definitely a marketplace for that. DirecTV Now has one as well. So yeah, there's definitely a market, and like you were saying, music went to I don't hear many people. I mean, I do it, but I don't hear many people really talk about like, oh, I downloaded a bunch of music on iTunes or something like that. It's always
Yeah.
just like, oh, I have a Spotify playlist or
CDs or records anymore unless they're like
a,
hipsters who just want to collect records.
a vinyl collection. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I thought about getting into vinyl, but ugh, what a mess! What a mess! I would love to. Just, I mean, I don't know. It would be nothing but like re-released vinyl from like the 90s and up, so it wouldn't be like true vinyl collecting. Um, but yeah, like even like Apple Music has their own streaming service now, and
Hmm.
like I said earlier when talking about Google, have the Amazon streaming movies, your iTunes streams movies now. There's so many other services that do that.
I think part of it is just like a matter of convenience. Like people probably own DVDs of like certain movies, but if they see it being streamed on here, they'll rather watch it that way just because it's easier to pull up rather than
Yeah, I mean
even
that's
if it's not like as clear as a Blu-ray or something. It's like whatever, this is easier.
yeah, but that's the thing. Like I've streamed pretty much every Marvel MCU like movie that's come out in the last 5 years, and I thought they looked fantastic. I mean, so if the Blu-ray looks better than that, great,
It's
but I
not
don't think it's gonna look that much
worth
better
the
than it.
effort to, yeah, it's like this is good enough.
Yeah,
And that's what I'm curious if that's gonna kind of translate if games go this way. Like this is good enough. Like maybe it's not 100% the latency input or something, but if
I think
I'm just gonna play it
latency.
once anyways, I don't know.
Yeah, I think latency is that has to be spot
That deal breaker.
on. Yeah, because if you're hitting forward and your guy's taking half a second to move forward, you're gonna throw that game down. You're not gonna touch it again. There's
Yeah.
plenty of games that I've tried to play online before and just been like, nope, done, just because of latency and stuff like that. Even like playing like a emulator. If an emulator's bad, like playing Super Mario World, trying to like hit a block and you miss it every time because the latency is just off. No,
Hmm.
depending on the emulator. Yeah, it just doesn't make you want to play the game anymore. It's just you don't want to reteach your brain to play something, um,
Yep.
or think that the game is just poorly designed where you have to do that.
Yeah,
So
I think just the interactive nature of games is probably gonna probably resist this streaming service just because while movies and music is more of a passive entertainment, this is like you want every bit of like accuracy of input that you can get.
yeah, um,
Oh,
I think it'd be streaming is fantastic for a lot of retro titles. I think if they focused on some sort of digital archive, it would be really cool. Going from like the 8-bit era up through, the 16-bit era. Um, but again, most of that's owned by Sega, Sony, or Sega and Nintendo. So
yeah,
that would have to be something they did on their end, which we are seeing with Nintendo Switch Online. But
true. It's kind of almost like you're paying a yearly fee and you're getting access to all these old NES games now.
yeah, so I mean, I definitely think that those type of games you'll have less issues with because, I mean, think about streaming here. Those games require almost zero processing power based on modern computing.
Yeah.
I mean, you can run all those games on your phone. You could probably run them on
I
your
mean, like,
watch.
Mario
like,
Brothers doesn't have the same
well, yeah,
complexity as Assassin's Creed or.
yeah. I mean, that's the thing. Like, those games would run no problem, and I think most people would probably have the exact same experience with that type of game. So I think that'd be a great way to, jump into it. But but obviously that doesn't take us anywhere in the future. You've got to have that market. You've got to be able to get the latest and greatest. And if they can pull it off, any of these companies can pull out streaming. I think it'll be big. I think it'll be big. There will be a resistance for the hardcore people that want their consoles. Probably like me. I don't know. I'm still open to the idea. I think it's really cool. And there's always a part of me that wants to get rid of all that and just have nothing and just a single box that streams it all, or just a Chromecast plugged in behind the wall that I don't even see, and if I can play everything, it's cool. But if Nintendo's not on there, I'm not gonna do it. So so it doesn't really make a difference.
Hmm.
So
Yeah, yeah, I agree. Uh, Last angle I'd want to explore is just like, will this like affect the market itself for like game developers and like how games are priced and stuff? Like, I haven't really looked that much into like Xbox Game Pass or PlayStation Now. I mean, they have services where they're basically renting a selection of games for a set fee, but I'm curious if we move more into like service-based gaming, that's just a handful of games, this is going to change the market at all.
yeah, I think those services are like what, like $30 or $40 a month,
I think,
or is it 25? It's somewhere around there.
yeah, I know the PlayStation one's more than the Xbox, but it's somewhere around there.
Yeah. So when I heard about that, I thought it was pretty cool. I was like, oh, you can play all these games, but I don't use my Xbox enough, and I don't think there's enough games that I personally liked on the Xbox collection that I would want to go back to using that service. PlayStation, there might be a few in there that I would want, but I think since then I've probably picked up most of them either on PlayStation or um, I got remasters of stuff like Crash and stuff like that. I think like the only game I ever even bought on the PlayStation Network was like Klonoa and Crash. Those are like two games that I picked up. But yeah, as far as streaming on those things, those work on your PC too, right? I think the PlayStation Now is PC based, isn't it? I don't remember.
Yeah, I have no idea.
Yeah, I thought it was PC based. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's PS4 based. But having the ability to play everything on any device, like watching a movie or listening to music, I think it's big. I think it's very big, and I don't see it as a bad thing at all. So let's finish up this episode with a review of the Nindies Direct, which is Nintendo's showcase they put on for independent developers, and they started off very big with announcing that Cuphead was coming to Switch, which is something I know you've been waiting for a while. As
I never thought it would happen, like a Microsoft exclusive game as great as that, and then now them just like, yeah, we want this to go on Switch. And I'm like, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
So yeah, Patrick and I played Cuphead. I bought it on my Xbox and played it on my PC and Xbox, kind of between both platforms due to like different issues we were having trying to play the game. With my Xbox was kind of acting up, and then my PC was acting up, and then we finally were able to get a solid connection and finish the game. We beat the game. We got everything. We had 100%, except for it didn't save. It didn't save something. I think. Oh, we didn't get full 100% because in the very last part.
The second to last boss had like multiple bosses within it.
Yeah, and you only got 100% if you played all of them, and we skipped. We just did the fastest path to get through to the boss, and even though we played them all at some point, just trying to get through it, so we never got that. I think the save file we have is like 97%.
We pretty much 100%ed it.
And we did, because like we said, we beat them all. It's just we didn't beat them all in one sitting. We kept dying. We kept dying on like the last one to get to the boss. So I know Patrick's excited to actually be able to own this and sit down.
I feel like I owe it just to buy this day one, just because is such a great game, and having played it entirely on your system, it's like, all right, it's my turn to buy it and play through it because it's
Yeah,
do it.
and
It's so much fun.
I think you'll enjoy it too because well I know you will. I mean we had a great time playing co-op and like it's a lot easier single player in my
It's true.
opinion.
This chaos on the screen.
I don't even know if it's that or if they just like if they increase the difficulty or what because me and you died. We made it to like the spot that tells you how much you die the first time we played it, and I think we had like 300 deaths or something like that. It was something insane. And when I went back and played it solo, when I got to that part, I had like 75 deaths, and I knew I wasn't that much better. I mean, I guess maybe knowing
Part of
what
it
to
might have been
do,
knowing the
patterns,
bosses.
maybe, yeah, but um,
Then
I
again,
felt
you
like
might be right. They might add more health to the bosses, and
yeah,
like, or it might be just easier because sometimes the very nature of having two players makes it kind of harder to predict where the boss is going to aim attacks, which kind of makes it harder to anticipate. So
yeah, maybe. I mean, I'm sure somebody's done the research on that to say if it is or isn't, but that was just my personal experience was it felt a lot easier. And there was bosses that like when we were playing together, I was struggling with like completely and then like I would die and you'd take over and but then I played it single player and literally had zero problems, beat him on the first try. Um, so it's definitely weird, but the game's awesome. The art style is just amazing.
so good. The
Playing,
music and
it's a cartoon. It's a 30s, 20s, 30s cartoon like brought to life. It's perfect. Um, I don't think
with
I've
all
ever
the trippy weirdness that came with old
with those
cartoons.
eras. Yeah, it's just like so good. They did such a good job to make it feel like you're actually controlling something from an old film, like from an old, like it's it is hand drawn, but it's like you're controlling a cartoon. It's awesome. Just I mean, I'll probably buy it for Switch too, just because it's so good and I want to support it.
Yeah.
But and again, I'll get back into playing it since I haven't really played it on my Xbox since we beat it. But it was awesome game, awesome game. I would love if it had online multiplayer just so we could play it again. But without
We'll
having
see.
to
We'll see.
schedule time. But I don't think it's gonna happen. The
I don't
original
think
one
it
didn't
will.
have it.
But yeah, and it
So
really is like perfect for the Switch. I know that's kind of a cliche saying, but like all the bosses can be beaten in like 2 minutes. Technically, it
yeah,
will take longer because you'll keep dying and having to learn the patterns. But it's a perfect kind of game that you can just pick up, play, maybe beat a boss, or maybe just die and keep playing.
and that's
So
one of the ways to get like you get rated on each level. It's like 3 stars, I think, or there's like six. You have to
I-
get like
there's
six.
three different categories you get rated for. I think it was like how many hits did you take,
How many
how
parries
many
you did,
parries you did,
and
and
time.
then
Time was like under 3 minutes, I think. If you could beat it under 3 minutes or something. Yeah, so I don't know. It's awesome. I mean, it's like a classic side-scrolling shooter game, Contra-esque. Bullet hell. Sometimes you gotta kind of dodge everything and go from there. So, looking forward to Cuphead that comes out on April 18th.
so soon,
Yeah,
yes.
less than a month away at this point. So that'll be a good title to grab. Some other stuff that was announced. There's a game called Katana Zero. Looks pretty cool. Looks kind of like we were just talking about this. You said it looked like Celeste
Yeah, it gave
mixed.
me a little Celeste vibes, just in the sense that it's kind of like little rooms or like micro challenges in which you try to perfectly complete, and if you mess up, you can just easily rewind and start again. So,
Yeah, it looks
uh,
really cool. It's got like kind of Ninja Gaiden
yeah,
feel to
instead of
it.
a climber, you're an assassin, though.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm sure it's different. I only saw this trailer a few minutes ago because I missed the direct due to some issues at work when this dropped, so I didn't really have the time to look at it and analyze it. Um, there were a lot of um, rogue like games,
Procedural
procedurally
and
generated
rogue
games.
games and just kind of all blended together after a while.
Yeah, so that was kind of my thing. Like looking through these games that are on here, a lot of games they've got that cell shady isometric look, and you'd think that every game was developed by the same company. That's kind of the look I'm getting. Like, I mean, I'm sure all these games play differently, but that's one of my biggest things with indies when like they first started becoming big. Like when you started getting like bigger indie titles dropping back in the day, it was always like, oh, another indie title. It's muddy pixel art. It all looks the same, and I think we're still kind of there. I feel like that's just kind of the norm. Some people do it really well. Some people don't do it so well. I personally just kind of get burned out on it, just for the muddiness. Like I think some pixel art needs to have something unique to it. But I feel like that was it, Undertale. Like I feel like everything kind of has that like Undertale look to it, or like I'm trying to just use that as an example. Like even like Blossom Tales, I talked about that a couple weeks ago. Like it kind of had that muddy pixel art. It's like there's so many other games that came out in those eras that they're trying to mimic that look so much better than what's coming out 20 years later. But you know, they're still good games. There's still good games out there that look like that. It's just, you know, they all kind of start to blend together, and the procedural generated games are all starting to. That seems to be like 90% of what this direct was. So, um,
Yeah, but a few games that did like something different did stand out for just that reason.
yeah,
It's like, finally something different.
yeah, and like you know, you said you have a list of some very good pixely art games that I
Oh,
can check out.
looking
So
for some high-end pixel art, I
yeah,
can
that's what I want. I want
recommend it.
high end
Like,
pixel art. I'm a
like
pixel
oh,
snob.
it's just gorgeous. Um, or Iconoclast was a pretty fun game I played recently. But yeah, I mean, those are games that those developers, I'm pretty sure, spent years on. So,
Yeah.
um,
So like another big title that a lot of people are talking about that was actually available now was Blaster Master Zero 2.
mhm.
Zero was the I think it was dropped with the Switch. It was like a launch title, like a launch eShop
Pretty,
title,
yeah, yeah,
or very close to it. I played a little bit of the NES game, which is also on Nintendo Switch Online, I believe. I remember playing it a little bit as a kid. One of my friends, that was like his game. He was constantly playing that, talking about it. Like he had a lot of NES games though, so
Mhm.
that was just another game I never really got into. But I definitely want to check out the first one. I never did. I know Blaster Master is a pretty big series. I mean, it never really had a sequel outside of the new ones that just came out. So in the last couple of
And
years.
I tried the demo of the first one on Switch, and it was pretty fun. I'll admit the sequel, this new one that they just showed off in the Nindies Direct, does look like it has a lot more to offer. Like it looks pretty cool. I might have to look at it.
Yeah,
Um,
so I'm definitely gonna check out the demo of the first one, just because I think I've played like the first level of the NES game, and that was it. And
mhm.
I don't remember doing very well. I think the controls were kind of weird, or I don't know. Like I feel like I remember it driving kind of funny over terrain. Like your aiming was kind of like
Yeah,
up down, and like I don't know. I have to look at it again. I don't remember much about it. But there was some other stuff too. I'm just kind of skipping over, looking at this list, just because I
mhm.
don't know much about it, and I don't think
The only other one that jumped out to me was besides the big one, last one that we'll talk about, but it was that pinball looking one. Was it
the Creature in the Well.
Creature in the Web? Thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah, because that one looked kind of cool, just like a different kind of mechanical style, taking inspiration from pinball and stuff, and looked like it could be kind of cool.
Yeah, I mean, I can see that. Like I know there's been talk of it being kind of compared to like the pinball parts of like a Zelda boss, where you kind of play tennis back and forth with like a light orb. Because in this game you show these like there's like a power ball that you're hitting back and forth that's ricocheting around the environment to kill enemies, and it looks like maybe hit switches. It was kind of hard to see what exactly was going on other than the guy slashing the sword and having a ball kind of hit all sorts of different pinball-esque bumpers and flippers and stuff like that. So, yeah, that's another one.
Yeah.
But let's get to the big one. Let's get to the big one and wrap up this episode.
All right, and that was
So,
yeah.
yeah, so we have Cadence of Hyrule, which was completely dropped out of nowhere.
Just kind of amazing. Nintendo loaning such a big franchise to such a small independent developer.
Yeah, so this is Crypt of the Necrodancer, which I never played. I feel like I've heard of it before, but I never played it before.
Hmm.
Um, and I don't know, did you ever play the original?
I was close to trying it. I even looked it up and everything because I was like, music crawling dungeon crawler. That sounds like a fun concept on paper. Um, but I think it was just the music that kind of turned me off. It's a matter of personal taste, but it was a lack of just like techno-ish music, which didn't really appeal to me for like an entire game. So I think that's why I tuned out. But if it's Zelda music, that might get me on board.
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of tempted, like after hearing what it was, because I feel like I've heard of the game before, but I never knew what it was. I feel like I've heard the name in the past, but rhythm games are usually pretty fun.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't think I've played a rhythm game that I really didn't like. Maybe a drumming one or something like that, but like I used to play some rhythm games like more musical based, not like a dungeon crawler, which that's what I find interesting because like I've
Hmm.
played like on track rhythm games like Guitar Hero, of course, Rock Band, but even before that, this game called Frequency and this game called Amplitude on PS2, which you are a ship that you have to hit the buttons to the rhythm of the song, and they're all like licensed songs, like Blink 182 songs, and there's like Beastie Boys, a bunch of stuff, and you've got to like move your spaceship between the tracks to do like the vocals, the guitar, the drums, the bass, and as you get farther, they stop. But that's my idea of a rhythm game, or like Dance Dance Revolution. That's my idea of a rhythm game. So something that's a little out there looks more of like a strategic, which I'm not a big fan of strategy games, but this is action as well. So you're actually controlling. You can control your character to the beat. You just got to kind of think ahead. I think I can deal with that. It's not just a turn-based sort of
Yeah.
action adventure. That's what I don't like. But I
I had
think
to plug my phone in. I'm sorry.
yeah, it's all good. Whatever. But yeah, I think this looks interesting. Watching the trailer, as soon as like I hear this voice and I'm looking at the art style, I'm like, this kind of looks like Zelda. What is this? And then I'm like, I'm not really paying attention to the music, but then all of a sudden she's like, what is this place? Do, 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 do. Like remixed. I was like, oh man, this is interesting. And when they show Link and Zelda join the game, and they look like very Minish Cap art stylish.
Yeah, yeah.
Just the drawing was great. The remix of Tall Tall Heights was awesome.
So good.
They're using Link's Awakening assets, which is coming out this year as well, which is just really cool. I'm really curious to see what else is on here. I think I
Gonna
heard
get
that,
hyped for Link's Awakening.
right? And I think I heard there's going to be like 25 Zelda tracks on this.
Yeah.
That's what I read. So or what I
Yeah,
heard.
I'm curious what other tracks they'll select, like maybe some Song of Storms or the Ballad of the Goddess from
Yeah,
Skyward Sword, or just there's so much they could choose from.
some Lon Lon Ranch. Very very somber. But yeah, I think it's I don't know. It's different. It's different. It's a game I've never played
Gerudo
before.
Valley. They gotta have Gerudo
Oh,
Valley.
of course they're gonna have Gerudo Valley, and that's gonna be like a boss battle or something really fast. Um, yeah, I think it's just really cool to check out. You know, it's a new style of game on a that I've never played before, obviously, but something new for a kind of a tied over Zelda game that, like you said, was very interesting that they handed over one of their Nintendo's like second biggest IP. Only behind like Mario and Pokemon if you count that as a Nintendo IP. Um, but yeah, it's kind of crazy. They gave that to a company to just have their way with. Well, I'm sure they were heavily involved to make sure, but still, I mean, I also heard some people say that they thought the game looked less like a Crypt of the Necrodancer and more like a Zelda game with those mechanics.
Yeah, like
So
I think the description still says like it's probably procedurally generated, but I'm kind of hoping like maybe it's procedurally generated with kind of a more structured story or something, like story beats that you get to. So
yeah, but yeah, I'm looking forward to checking that out.
yeah,
It's a Zelda game or Link's in it. I'm gonna check it out. Um,
yeah.
that's a
I
good
like I
way to
like a lot
kind
of
of.
the little touches they added into like familiar Zelda elements. Like you see those hopping statues from A Link to the Past, but they're all like carrying like rock guitars and stuff, and it's just
Yeah, there's a lot of different enemies that they showed in there that you know throw back to multiple Zelda games. So
yeah,
um, it'll be cool. It was kind of like that battle you were talking about is like the first boss in the. It's like the first boss of Link to the Past,
yeah,
essentially.
in the Eastern Temple
Yeah.
dungeon.
So you've got that, and there was. I swear I saw like the knights from Phantom Hourglass, and
Those
there was
Dark Knight Knights, yeah,
yeah. So
and you
there's
see the False and slimes and all
yeah,
kinds of stuff.
lots of stuff that was it's cool. We'll see what they do with it, but I think that was a pretty big surprise, especially you're not expecting to see Link or Zelda in a Nindies Direct, so
Exactly.
that's the big thing there. So we'll see what happens. Like there's no release date on that, but I would imagine
Yeah,
that has to come out before Link's Awakening.
yeah,
Would
yeah.
be my
I
guess.
I would imagine so, but then again, it's like from a smaller studio, so development time may vary for
Yeah. So
what resources they have.
yeah, but yeah, we'll look forward to that. It's another Zelda game to add to the list and go from there. But I don't know if you don't have anything else to say. I think that pretty much wraps up episode 3.
All right.
Um,
I think we managed to make it at least shorter than episode 2, so
yeah, I think
just
so.
not too long.
Yeah, not too long. We still recorded for a while just from talking before recordings, but but we can end it on that. You can find us on YouTube, Podbean, and iTunes now. Leave us a review. I'm sure there's going to be complaints about the audio. I'm trying to get that figured out. Um, Last week I thought it was worked out, but my device was recording from the wrong microphone. This week it should be using the correct microphone, which I'm going to tap there just to give an idea of what it should have been using the first time. But I still think I might be picking up a little bit of interference from just air noise around the room. So I will probably invest in an actual nice microphone just to avoid that instead of using headsets. But we got to get started somehow. We got to start talking, getting our ideas out, getting a better flow of conversation. So unfortunately, this is what you get. A work in progress. um,
Hey, if we didn't do it now, we never get to talk about these topics, so
Yeah, other than to ourselves.
yeah.
So, so yeah, please bear with us if if you got this far into the recording. Please bear with us. We're gonna try to make this as best we can, and hopefully we will wrap it up.
Yeah. Until next time, happy gaming, everyone.